South African men. Now I seek forgiveness. I never imagined that one day I would be sitting here, thousands of miles away in America, with the weight of a man's death on my conscience. The very man who gave me everything, the man whose life I drained until he had nothing left, until he took his own life in despair. His blood is on my hands, and I don't know if I can ever be forgiven. My name is Rudo, and I come from Zimbabwe. In 2008, I was just another desperate migrant looking for a better life in South Africa. I had no papers, no money, and no real skills. But I had ambition, and I had knowledge passed down from my grandmother, knowledge of the power that dwelt beneath the waters, the spirits that could make a woman irresistible. I arrived in Johannesburg with nothing but a bag of clothes and a heart full of determination. Life was hard. I did menial jobs, slept in a crowded room with other migrants, and constantly lived in fear of being deported. The worst part was the humiliation. I had left home dreaming of a better life, but I found myself scrubbing toilets in a cheap lodge, eating leftover food from gas, and living hand to mouth. I quickly realized that as a Zimbabwean woman in South Africa, my best chance at survival was not through hard work, but through securing a powerful man. I saw how other foreign women dated rich South African men and immediately gained financial stability. But these men were not easily fooled. They had many options, and women threw themselves at them daily. That's when I decided to use what I had learned from my grandmother, marine spirits. My grandmother had always told me about water spirits, powerful entities that granted favor, beauty, and dominance over men. Back home, I'd seen women go through rituals and suddenly become desirable to wealthy men who couldn't resist them. It wasn't just luck, it was spiritual manipulation. One weekend, I traveled to Durban and visited a powerful Sangoma who worked near the ocean. I told her what I wanted: wealth, security, and a man who would do anything for me. She looked at me as if searching my soul, and finally agreed to help. She took me to the shore at night, where we performed a ritual under the full moon. The waves crashed violently as she chanted in a language I didn't understand. She smeared my body with oils, tied a beaded bracelet around my wrist, and gave me a small bottle of oil to rub on my skin every night. "The spirits will guide you," she whispered, "but you must never betray them, never abandon them." At the time, I didn't understand what she meant. I was only focused on the power I would soon have. When I returned to Johannesburg, things changed almost instantly. Suddenly, men noticed me more. My skin glowed, and I had an aura that made men turn their heads when I walked by. But I wasn't interested in just any man. I wanted someone rich. That's when I met Mandla. Mandla was a successful businessman, a property developer with multiple businesses. He was in his late 30s, unmarried and extremely wealthy. He had a reputation for being disciplined. He never chased women, never wasted money on luxuries, and was always focused on growing his empire. But when he met me, all of this changed. The first time we spoke, I could feel the spirits working through me. He was mesmerized. Within days, he was calling me constantly. Within weeks, he had moved me into one of his luxury apartments in Sandton. By the end of the year, he was telling people that I was the woman he wanted to marry. At first, I played the perfect girlfriend. I cooked, supported his business ideas, and acted like I truly cared. But deep down, I knew I was only in it for what he could give me. The spirits made sure he never questioned me. If he was upset, I would rub the special oil on my skin and his anger would disappear. If he tried to resist my demands, he would later come back apologizing, saying he couldn't live without me. By 2010, I had convinced him to start the process of getting me a South African citizenship. He paid a lawyer to fast-track my paperwork, and within a year, I had everything I needed: legal residency, financial stability, and the protection of a powerful man. But something strange started happening. By 2012, Mandla's businesses started struggling. Deals that once went smoothly now had complications. He lost a major contract, then another. He became stressed, worried, and withdrawn. He turned to me for comfort, but I was growing tired of him. His money was no longer flowing the way it used to. I started seeing other men, wealthier men, but I kept Mandla around because he still had something to offer. One night, I woke up sweating. I had a terrible nightmare. Mandla was drowning in the ocean, screaming my name. A woman's voice whispered, "He must fall." I ignored the warning. By 2014, Mandla was in financial ruin. He was forced to sell properties to cover debts. He lost his expensive cars, his offices, and his business partners abandoned him. I, on the other hand, was already planning my escape. That year, I found a Zimbabwean man in the US who promised to help me get an American visa. Mandla was no longer useful to me. I started treating him coldly, refusing to sleep in the same bed with him, ignoring his calls, and publicly embarrassing him. One night, he broke down crying. "I gave you everything," he said. "Why are you doing this to me?" I felt nothing. In 2015, I got my US visa. I told Mandla I was visiting a friend for a short while. I packed my bags and left. I never came back. I blocked his number, ignored his emails, and cut off all contact. I was free. A few months later, I heard the news. Mandla had committed suicide. He had left a note saying he had lost everything and could not go on. I didn't react. I told myself it wasn't my fault, but deep down I knew. Now, years later in America, I'm haunted by what I did. I see Mandla in my dreams. I hear his voice whispering in the wind. The spirits that once helped me, now they torment me. I want to ask for forgiveness, but how? His family hates me. They blame me for his death. Should I reach out to them? Should I confess? I don't know if I'll ever be free from this guilt.